I'm Dr Devon Campbell-Hall. I did literature. My bachelor's degree is in English literature. My master's degree is in English contemporary literature, and my PhD is in contemporary Anglophone literature, so literature in English from all over the world. Orwell, of course, was writing a lot about the idea of dystopia and utopia, but he was writing about it. The majority of his novels are from a post-World War II perspective, so he was aware of the chaos that was coming, or even at the beginning of the war, he was aware of what was going on. Whereas someone, for example, like Huxley, with, for example, Brave New World, is writing about this in the 1930s, when the idea of the rise of fascism is really still in its infancy. It's beginning to rumble, but we don't really know the details yet. The war hasn't yet started when he's writing and producing and publishing Brave New World. And so to me, he's writing more as a prophet. He's one of the writers that I would credit as somehow instinctively having his finger on the pulse of what's going on with the development of humanity. Other writers, in my humble opinion, respond to chaos with writing novels that are utopian or dystopian. But in my humble opinion, Orwell is in some ways predicting them. He's sort of writing about things before they happen, as if he has some odd supernatural prophetic awareness of what might happen. Perhaps it's simply as an artist and as a writer, because he's so aware of viewing human nature and looking at the world and making sense of the world, he's hyper acute. His sense of perception is exceedingly well tuned. Perhaps that's the only thing supernatural about it, is that he's a very, very skilled observer of life and human beings and human development. Because he's so well read himself and is such a fine writer, he can then address something almost before it happens. I would suspect it's a bit like someone like Darren Brown, who does the mind reading, and he says very clearly, look, it's not magic, it's not supernatural, you're giving me clues all the time. It seems to me that some writers are more aware of those human clues than others. The obvious thing that comes to mind is the idea of writers who write about things before they happen. If we think about 1984, George Orwell, yes, a lot of the things he'd written about long before 1984, of course, the idea of Big Brother. He wrote about the idea of a panopticon camera, the idea of being monitored every moment, which now is common experience for all of us. We don't like it, but we don't really question it. Was that prophetic, or was that how the novel itself actually inspires society to change? First of all, if we're reading the novel, if we're reading it in 2016, we're going to be reading it with a set of spectacles, as I say, through our human experience at this time. It doesn't matter what age we are, but the fact that we're living now, we have access to so much more media, so much more coverage of historical happenings as well as current happenings. And also, we're going to read that book, we're going to have what I would call intertextual references, continuously flooding through our brains and our minds, the way we see things, awareness of current events, awareness of historical happenings, awareness of conflicts all over the world, awareness of other texts that have been written since then. And so we're going to read back to this older text with very, very different eyes, a very different viewpoint from, I would suggest, the one that readers at the time were using. They're reading it through, they haven't experienced history from when they read it to where we are now. So it's going to be profoundly different, of course. And also, because I think we've been culturally desensitized, whether it's violence or being overwatched and overviewed by the world, being overmonitored, we're so used to it now that we can numb it out, whereas it would have been shocking at the time. If we think of something like A Modest Proposal, for example, which seemed to be advocating the idea of cannibalism, to eat or to basically destroy those there were too many in society. It's been years since I've read it. Just from memory, it seemed to be about a method that seemed to be logical the way it was presented, but if you read it, you realized it was profoundly satirical. It was proposing something outrageous. It wasn't modest at all. What effect does it have on readers? Well, I hope it opens up our eyes as if we've, just eaten a hot chili pepper and makes us think, what? The writer can't possibly be serious. I do believe we can become desensitized to things, but I think if we wait another generation and come back to it, we can see it, and I think it would become more shocking because it would be so out of historical context. I think when it's in close-ish context, we fade it out, we phase it out. I think if it's a generation separate, we can look back through it with fresh eyes. I'm fascinated with the idea of censorship and banning. Do I think books should be banned in schools? No, as long as they're appropriate for certain younger age groups, because they don't yet have the tools to make sense of them, and why should they? They're not ready yet. I think that once one has reached the age of, say, 16, and you can manage you can cope with concepts, you have more tools to understand the difference between fiction and reality. No, I don't think they should be banned.